Thank you everyone for joining in from wherever you have joined in from. I'm from India and Chloe's from the UK. So we have tuned in from a night and evening, and we are glad that you've been able to tune in with us today. This is our first live in the Healing is Leaving series, and today we have Chloe with us. And it means a lot for you to choose to spend your time with us at this hour of your day and listen to our conversations about what we're about to share. Basically, the space was born just out of pure desire to have more honest and nourishing conversations where we are not just talking about healing, but inviting all of us to go through it together, live it together. And the topic that we have chose today to talk about is close to home for many of us. We've either seen there or we are going through it right now, reclaiming joy, reclaiming aliveness in a burnout world where we are constantly pushed to prove, to perform, and to be productive. So we have Chloe, who is a well-being coach, a yoga teacher, and a writer, and who has spent most of her life helping others, especially high-performing women now, to find confidence, empowerment, and a life full of joy. Thank you, Chloe, and welcome. Thank you for spending your time and energy with us to share all your light and energy today.
Thank you for having me, Janky, and everybody. Hello, it is wonderful to be here. I'm excited for this convo.
Yeah. So, Chloe, I just want to, since this is the first time even we are connecting, I would love to know, where you're coming from. How did your healing journey start? When did you realize that the way you were living or moving through life was something not what you were expecting out of your own life?
Sure, it's such a great question. I think, like, I'm a yoga teacher, right? I've been teaching yoga for a decade, even longer, maybe. And you would think I would start by saying, yeah, when I found yoga, it was all like sparkles and light, and my life was easy. Um, but that wasn't the case. So, really, like, this kind of nervous system healing came about because I was burning out over and
Mhm.
over and over. And I had everything that I wanted, right? So pre-COVID, I had opened a yoga studio just a year after beginning teaching. And I was teaching 15 classes a week, right? 15 hours of yoga a week. I've now got like hip issues from this shit, you know? It was it was a lot, but at the time I'm just like there, I'm hustling, I'm cracking on, I'm getting my stuff done. And what's really frustrating about that was it started to get easier and then COVID happened. And so I had to make the decision overnight whether that was something I wanted to pursue, this brick and mortar yoga studio, or something else, some crazy unknown, you know, because I had bills to pay. I had to, you know, lay out my rent for the next year. So I made this decision to suck it all in, and like that kind of time, I remember feeling, oh my God, I didn't want to make this decision, but anyway, it was brilliant, really. What happened though quite quickly after that, and I think so many people can relate to this, is COVID kind of showed me how toxic my relationship was. And it became really difficult. So 2021, I left an 8-year relationship and it was really hard. And that 2021, 2022 was like my rock bottom, really. And I had to pause my teaching and I paused the Yoga Revolution, which was and is my studio, my online studio. And I had to rebuild again. It was really painful. And I think so many of us can relate to this, right? Like
Mhm.
just toxic relationships, you know, making the decision to leave that and juggling work and where am I going to live now and what does this look like and going into another toxic relationship almost immediately. And I'm so glad that I made the decision alongside my therapist to be like, I'm going to heal from this and I'm going to do it properly and I'm going to, yeah, be gentle with myself. And so then that started really. The yoga's been the foundation, but that healing and that kind of nervous system relearning and learning what it's like to be a woman, I think, and to be confident in my own choices and to learn my own body and my own rhythms and all of that from scratch, it felt like. That's what I did. And I'm now more resilient and happier and more joyful than I've ever been, despite not having all of my ducks in a row, by the way. But because I put in that nervous system foundation, here I am. So that's what I do for others now. And it's magical because, it came from yoga and it still is a bit of yoga. I love yoga and a joyful practice as well, not just, I was going to say not just boring yoga, but it's beautiful and magical. And then we can use that as one of the tools to help us live this joyful life because we're not around for long. And my worst nightmare is really getting to my 80s and 90s and thinking, well, that was shit. I should have been a bit more, you know, gentle. I should have done the things I wanted to do. I should have been more aligned. Why did I burn out every year? That was rubbish. That's not what I want for us.
Yeah.
So that's my mission, and that is where that's where I come from.
I think that is really courageous of you and everyone who actually moves out of the burnout or a misaligned life and wants to build from scratch. And I can totally relate with you on that aspect, wherein COVID really hit everyone to the rock bottom, where we were really prioritizing and looking within of what means to us, what are our values, and what is the kind of life we want to build. And I think that's a myth, again, like you said, that yoga, even teaching yoga or doing yoga does not fix everything. That's even something I've learned the hard way because once you start learning yoga, or even if you're a yoga teacher, your journey starts by burning yourself out. You think that doing more yoga or giving more yoga will heal you, but eventually it does not. That's another path that's burning out yourself. And yes, I mean, I can totally relate with you on that. And oh, Chloe, since you talk about, teaching 15 hours of yoga in a week and trying to reevaluate your relationship dynamics, what do you think about the perfect work-life balance? Like, what is your take? Because I try to balance my work and my life, trying to perfect it, but it does not somehow work like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't really work like that. I think because we've been sold a lie, like it's
Mm,
another addition to the pot of productivity myths that we've
mm,
been sold. I think that we can have this glorious work-life balance, and if you don't have it, then you're a loser, you're a failure, you're not good enough, you're not
mm,
trying hard enough. So then that's when we start piling on all of these wellness tools because our work-life balance is shot to shit. So I should be drinking kale smoothies and doing ice baths every morning and getting up at 5 and doing ultra marathons or like whatever, like, you know, add your insane kind of self-care thing here.
mm.
So then it's just like this perpetual cycle, right? Like I just don't think a perfect balance is anything other than toxic, really. So I think the instead of like finding a balance, it's kind of like my mission is accepting a little bit of chaos, but also imperfection, because I think so many people are perfectionists, right? Especially, I was going to say especially women, but perhaps not. Perhaps that's really unfair. But we've been taught as a society that like if you produce and if you produce really well, then you are worthy.
Mm,
And so when we're starting to flail a bit and life is crazy and you have like kids and a massive career and, a mortgage and friendships and
mm,
relationships and la, 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 and you've got to like take care of yourself. It's insane. How are we supposed to keep on top
mm,
of all of that? So I think that, yeah, I think that really what it is recognizing that you aren't going to slow down when things calm down. Like when your kids, I hear this all the time. When your kids get older, that's not the time to do it. When you finish this big caseload or this big project at work, you're not going to calm down. It's like saying, "Oh, I'll be happy when I get that new car," or you know, do this new thing or get this amount of money, you won't be happy. It's a fleeting thing. You'll get a little dopamine hit, right? But then you're back to baseline. And it's the same with this stuff when we say, I'm going to do this, find my balance, my work-life balance when things calm down. You won't, my friend, because been there myself. You fill that space when things have calmed down with more stuff and more
Hmm.
chaos, because we have, and I could rant about this for a long time, but like social media, the use of our phones, I've actually had a day of it myself. Like, it's amazing how we can't sit still for 5 minutes without filling that time with, I should check my notifications, like waiting for a bus. I take public transport to London a lot, and it's amazing. No judgment, please. But to see that, we're waiting for a train, we're waiting for a bus, whatever. And okay, well, what am I going to do in this time? I have to scroll. I have to be productive. I have to engage with something. I have to entertain myself. Anyway, I'm waffling, but my point is that, like, it starts right here in these tiny little gaps and moments we have in our days that aren't feeding our kids or doing our work or doing the things that we need to do to keep our lives afloat. It has to start here in really gentle, easygoing, kind of fun ways. And that's how we start to make changes from the inside out. It's these relearnings, what it's like to not be a robot, but to be a human being who, yeah, can be productive sometimes, but also really shouldn't be productive sometimes. I hope that's answered your
Yeah.
question. I know that went on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, I love that. Two things, basically what you've shared, that your journey or your calming down doesn't start after achieving that big project or after taking care of your children or once your kids are grown up, but it starts right now. That reminds me of something that I've read, and mostly I think most of you might have read before. You probably cannot see or measure your success because you always keep raising your bar higher and higher. So it's just, it brought to me that okay, we don't realize that how far we have come because we are already setting the bar higher. We're already setting the next goal. We're already thinking of something else, and then we say that we can't slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're very apt on that part. And yeah, I do believe that the way we are associating and attaching our worth with productivity is quite harmful.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's a huge barrier, right, to
Yes,
our joy, I think.
yes. Coming to joy, when we know our inner being knows that joy is our innate nature, that is what we are. What stops us from experiencing that? What are the blocks that because of which we aren't able to experience that or maybe go into that zone?
I think that this is a really interesting question, because I think, first of all, we have to define what joy actually is. And I think it's misconstrued so often, right, as like, you know, the morning you wake up when you're going to Greece for the week, right? Or your wedding day, or the day your kid's born. And I can't relate to that. I don't have them. But we see joy as these kind of fleeting moments of like, woohoo, everything's going the way I want
Mm,
it to go. But actually,
mm,
I see joy differently. Of course, joy lives there too. Um, but I think joy can be found, like you said, it's an innate thing that we can find every day. If, and only if, we're kind of able and capable enough to notice it. So the barrier I feel like most of us have to living a more joyful life is everything we've been speaking about, right? Basically, it comes under the umbrella that I speak about of nervous system dysregulation. But put that into day-to-day terms, and it's, you are not allowing yourself to be bored. I was talking about, you can't wait for a bus for 10 minutes without being entertained. You're um, multitasking, you're eating food quickly, you're not spending enough time on your relationships, you're not sleeping well, you are overworking, you are a productivity machine, and you think that that's what you need to do. You think burnout is normal. You think, um, you know, it's okay to only get 4 hours of sleep at night. And do you know what's so funny? Because I've got my boyfriend in my mind when I talk about this. It's so funny. And I'm like, come on, just try a bit harder to like balance your life. But it's true. Like when we're running on fumes, like joy don't run on fumes, babe, you know? So my philosophy and what I've experienced in my own life and what I see in my clients' lives is that when you start to actually sweat the small stuff in terms of, and by that I mean the everyday experience of what it's like to be a human being in a very biological, evolved body, as opposed to a robot body, then joy becomes inherently more accessible. You know, when you start to take care of yourselves properly, like you've never been taught before, we have to relearn this stuff. It's insane that we don't talk about this stuff more often. When you start to do it though, life becomes more joyful. It just does. Because you've got space, you've got clarity, you've got support and resilience and health. Like, this isn't about, I'm going to take care of my body so that in my 80s I'm strong and fit. Yeah, that's great. But also, what about right now? What about right now? Are you going to just work till 9 p.m. because, you know, you've got some arbitrary deadline that you need to stick to and you're going to do it at all costs? Or are you actually going to say, and I know this isn't easy when we're employed by horrible bosses or even nice bosses with deadlines, but it's like, how can we recognize and prioritize the magic in our lives and the goodness and the feeling alive and the slowing down and I hate the word self-care, but the self-care. When we do that, life becomes inherently more joyful. And then this is what I always say, you know, when you're in your 80s and 90s, my grandma's 92, and I you know, I look and I think, when I'm your age, grandma, I want to be exhausted because I did everything I could to live joyfully and encourage that in other people. Because we are going to get to our 90s and you know, hopefully
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
But we run around thinking that life is going to continue on forever, or some sort of vampiric species, and we can keep going forever. We can't. We can't. It's a long-winded way of saying nervous system regulation leads to joy.
I love that. I love that how you put it. And while we might look at self-care and all the wellness routines that we inculcate during our day-to-day lives, I have also experienced and I've learned more about it, kind of an overwhelm due to wellness. It's kind of a checklist we do when we especially start our journey. We learn that, okay, journaling is good, meditation is good, yoga is good. And that list keeps piling on and on and on until it exhausts yourself and it becomes another productivity list, you know. So, what is your experience and how do you deal with that with your clients, with yourself on an everyday basis?
Yeah, I mean, me too. I've been there so often. I've been there so often because this is the thing, though. We've been taught to um do more. I've got low power mode for some reason. Give me 1 second. It should be charging. But we've been taught to do more, so we kind of apply this hustle culture, which is all pervading in our culture, in our society, right? We're basically putting that lens into our self-care. And this is the thing. If we're not doing these things with an underlying understanding of why we're doing them, then it is going to turn into this hustle kind of culture. This, I must do this at all costs. I must. I think the thing is as well, you know, social media and these wealthfluencers who are
Yeah.
just, you know, well-intentioned, just, you know, ice baths and meditations and silent retreats and yoga retreats, and you must do an hour and a half of Ashtanga every morning for 6 days a week, and you must eat, you know, like it was insane. I saw on Instagram a few months ago, and I'm basically not on Instagram anymore. I can't stand the platform. And it was this guy, well-known health website, well known, huge following, and this guy was saying, yeah, so I eat I think he said I eat 3 days a week, and on those 3 days I eat for an hour a day, and I eat mostly eggs. And I'm like, are you serious? You know, you've got, whether you like it or not, mate, you've got a platform, and you've got hundreds of thousands of people watching this shit and thinking that that's okay. You're eating 3 days a week. Are you what? So we're watching this, we're consuming it, we're not feeling good enough. You've got this work-life balance mystery that we're trying to attempt to spin, as well as all these other plates. Oh my God, can you just feel the tension? I should be eating 3 days a week. Holy shit, on top of everything else. I don't know how to do that. Therefore, I'm not good enough, or I need to try harder, or both. And so that's when we end up in this like crazy toxic spiral where nothing is actually making that much of a dent because we're not relearning in the first place. Once we have the tools, once we have the understanding of our basic mechanism as a human being, then we can apply things like ice baths if you want to, or meditation or breath work. And that stuff then becomes way more potent and way more alive because we understand why we're doing it and because we're inherently more connected to our bodies, right?
Yeah. I think that's a lovely thing that you've shared. I think that's how I have been moving around with. I mean, some days meditation works, while other days journaling your thoughts out randomly just works. But I am not sure if both of those things work every single day. It's just basically tuning in with your body and listening to it very inherently, actually. That's a very beautiful thing to put it that way. When we're talking about that, Chloe, if just to simplify and make it more tangible and applicable across the everyone, how can nervous system regulation on an everyday basis to experience joy might feel like or look like, just not another hustle or another to-do list to accomplish that, okay, I've done this, I've regulated myself, but rather more in real life, in a situation that's difficult to handle. How does one handle that and regulate oneself?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways, and I think there's lots of different contexts as well, because it depends upon the way that you experience life, you know, because I think you, Janky, are going to experience it much different to me. So it is contextual and it is different person to person. But what's not different person to person? And I think the key to all of the things really in life and what we're talking about is interoception, basically the art of being able to tune in and feel more. So understanding your physiological cues. So for instance, I always talk about this, that you can get an app for your phone that my mum has it. It drives me crazy when I'm with her. That will emit a little sound when you should be drinking water, you know. And I find that really fascinating. It's one of the, like, how long can we go without drinking water? It's like a couple of days or something, right? What, this is a really integral part of our physiology. We need to stay hydrated, yet we have disconnected ourselves so much from that mechanism of thirst that we need an app to tell us to drink. That seems insane, but that's exactly where we've got to, I think, as human beings, right? Like, we are so disassociated from hunger and thirst, let alone anger and sadness and tension and softness and ease. No wonder we're burning out, you know. So I think the number one thing is learning how to feel again. And so things like NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, yoga nidra, same thing. Practicing these things, practicing body scans with someone to guide you. It's wonderful, even for 10 minutes a day. In the same way, meditations can help you, meditations that guide you through sensations. It's like going to the gym and doing bicep curls, right? But instead of building our biceps, we're building our ability to feel. Because once we have built that ability to feel and to notice nuance, then it's easy then to put those tools on top and to say, oh, I need meditation right now. Oh, I need to just shake it out right now. Oh, I need that playlist. So, for instance, with me, when I travel to London, I'm a sensitive person, all right? And I don't like crowds, and I struggle with public transport a little bit. I just get a little bit stressed. And my partner lives in South London and I live in Yorkshire, so it takes like a big old train, and then I have to get another train and then a bus or an Uber or so. And it's a lot, right? King's Cross is a lot. And I've realized that it's a lot for me, right? So I'm there with my big headphones on and I'm listening to music that gives me signals of safety. Because this is what we're navigating, right? Is our life right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing in any given moment, your body is analyzing the environment for signals of safety and for signals of unsafety or mobilization. And if the safety is overriding if there's more safety than mobilization, you're good to go and you'll feel calm and relaxed and easy. When I'm on the train, I don't, right? I'm feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to miss the train, or I'm going to do this, or there's crowds of people. Oh my God. My feelings of safety have dropped. So I know then, but I know what that feels like because I've worked on this practice of feeling. I know what this is in my body. What do I do then to up the safety? So then we pile on the nervous system regulation tools, which, like, yes, can be breath work and meditation and yoga and la la la, but can also be music or dancing or connecting with a girlfriend or a guy friend or any friend, reading or like literally, stroking a dog, drinking tea. There are so many ways, but unless you learn to feel, you're not going to know the little cues and the ways that are unique to you. And I think that's what's magical. That's what I lead my clients through, right? Is like, okay, these are the kind of ways we can self-regulate. Which are the ones that work for you? Let's go and be curious. Let's go into this experimental mode. There's no getting this wrong. Notice how you feel. Put on these tools on the top when you need them. Notice what changes. And then we respond accordingly. Then we say, that didn't work so much. Or, interesting, you get stressed on public transport too. Why don't you try this? Does that work? Does that give you senses of safety? No? Okay, let's try something else, So I think that to find more joy every day, start to feel more. And then we can start to layer on these tools on the top. And then what happens is you're making a cup of tea and you can make the decision to be like, this is nice, this is joyful, this is a wonderful moment in my day, rather than, oh my God, I've got to get this cup of tea made because I've got a meeting in 5 minutes and the kids and the dog and the la la la, we're shifting into a different way of engaging with reality.
Yeah. It's really amazing how just tuning in, which might initially feel unsafe and a little difficult if you haven't really felt your emotions or how it feels in your body. But once you start building that muscle, you start understanding yourself more and how you just club it with or layer it with the tools that work for you, the way you put it. It's really, really helpful, I think. Plus, I think today you shared a post just about that 10 simple things that work, and I loved it, to be very honest. And I think those are the kind of things that we overlook because they're so simple and so integrated in our life that we tend to overlook them and we rather move towards more complicated things to help us regulate.
Absolutely. It's so funny, that post
Yeah.
today, because maybe it's TMI, sorry folks, but my period started today and I was not cool about engaging with reality. And I'm just like, do you know what? I needed to write something and it was about, oh God, maybe people will resonate with the little things that I do every day when I'm feeling like this to just bring me back into my cocoon of loveliness. And my favorite one, by the way, is putting on socks. It sounds so simple,
I
but when
love
your
that.
hands and feet are cold, your body is like, okay, there's a problem here. There's a physiological strain here. We need to be on a little bit of an alert. But when you put on socks, it literally, science, baby. It tells your nervous system that you're good, you're safe, you're warm and cozy. There's a containment as well in that. It's so funny. It's so fascinating. These little things, like you said, we can overlook them because ice baths are glamorous, and you know, these big self-care things like doing yoga every day. 14 hours, by the way. Do not recommend doing 14 hours of yoga a week. Like you said at the beginning, you can't just pile it on and expect things to
Yeah.
work. Your nervous system doesn't, it won't make a difference if you start taking magnesium. Can I just say that? Like, supplement
Yeah.
carefully and supplement joyfully. That's great. Supplements are brilliant, but like, you can't supplement your way out of a nervous system dysregulation.
Yeah. Yeah, so true, so true. I had been subconsciously doing the socks thing for myself, and my feet get cold, Usually, I'm just a cold human. And socks are the way of keep giving that comfort. And like you put it just gives you that sense of safety. But I never knew that, okay, that could be one way you could be giving that safety to your body. And other thing, absolutely simple that you mentioned was lying on your carpet. Oh my God, that when I read it and I'm like, why haven't I ever thought about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And when I was reading it, I was just sitting on my carpet. I had my beanbag over my carpet and I was just reading it and I'm like, okay, it's so simple right in front of you. And you never thought that, okay, the ground, just taking the support of the ground just to support you, just to give you that safety. It's so simple.
I mean, and this is what we do in Shavasana, right? For any yogis watching this. At the end
Yes.
of yoga, we do Shavasana, this corpse pose. And sure, some
Yes.
people have stuff going on. We might lie on our sides, we might use bolsters, props, whatever, but we are lying on the floor.
Yeah.
In this
Yeah.
corpse pose, there's something really beautiful about that. And if you think about the journey of a yoga class, it is perfect nervous system regulation, right? We
Yes.
we move up the
Yes.
ladder. If we're talking polyvagal theory, we move up the ladder and we shift back down. It's a magical thing. And I'm the first person that gets anxious. I'm an anxious person, right? But the best thing on a night when I'm feeling it is do that, lie on the floor, stick a cushion under my butt, like I said in the article, feet up.
Yeah.
Just lift your feet up. It's insane how quickly this can help you feel. And then, some easygoing show on in the background. It's so
Yeah.
underrated. It isn't a $5,000 meditation retreat. It's not, 300 quid smart watch thing. So we're perhaps glamorizing it less, but it is magic. It is magic.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that. I absolutely love lying down and hugging myself, having my knees closer to my chest. It's just like the best hug that and the warmest hug that I ever need. I think that's the first thing that I do when I feel a little restless. I need someone to talk to. It's just like, okay, let me just hug myself.
I
And
love
it just
that.
works. It just works wonders. It's nothing more, nothing complicated. Like you said, it's not glamorous, but it it is those unglamorous thing, non-glamorous thing that actually really helps you regulate in the real life, not the social media ones, but in real life.
Absolutely. And when we start to glamorize these unglamorous things, when we start to realize the weight of them, and we realize how important nervous system regulation is, and we start to feel more, and we start to realize, oh, it's the knees into the chest thing that really does it for me, or it's the
Yes.
listening to Chopin on the tube that really does it for me, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
this is like, I can't stress this enough, right? This unlocks a sense of fucking joy. This becomes like, oh, I'm no longer just being thrown around by life. I'm able to, and forgive the horrible um likening, but we're able to surf the waves, baby. But it's like, I'm able to take control of every day in a more meaningful way, react less, to
Yeah.
the madness of life, because let me tell you, you're never in control. We become less like toddlers and more like actual mature adults, but no one's taught us how to do this. No one's taught us to
Absolutely.
feel more. Are you joking? There's no money in that. So
Yeah.
it's a big old learning, but when you do it, and I encourage you to do it, anyone listening to this, just start to feel more and respond accordingly. And your life, I know it doesn't sound like it will, but it changes and it gets more joyful.
Lovely. That I think this conversation has been so grounding, so unglamorous, to be very honest, and so much that even me, I needed it even before coming to the call. I think I just, told you that I was a bit restless because this was
Yeah, yeah.
uncomfortable, but the way you just created a sort of an environment for everyone, it was really warm, and I hope everyone listening might have taken their notes. Um, any last final words, Chloe, you would like to share with the listeners?
Just prioritize the small ways you take care of yourself. Everybody prioritize that. Even if people on Instagram make you feel like you shouldn't prioritize it, you should prioritize it, and maybe be on Instagram a little bit less.
Oh, yes. I would vouch for that any other day.
Yeah. Love Substack, right? Substack for the win. It's so
Yes,
great to be
yes,
connected with you. And
yes.
if anyone wants to learn more about this, my Substack is my place. This is where we talk nervous system regulation, this down to earth, easygoing way all the time.
Yeah. I love consuming your content. You're one of those creators whose content is so grounded, so realistic, and so tangible, to be very honest, that you can instantly pick it and apply it in the next moment because it's like a mini toolbox that you can just carry it with yourself, full confident that okay, I feel confident in myself to be able to regulate myself no matter what the given situation is. I don't need those heavy complex tools. Yes, they are good. I can do that when I have a lot of time, but these are very accessible, to be very honest. So I would definitely encourage everyone to go consume her content. You're not going to uh, harm yourself by doing that. And it's really, really helpful.
Thanks, Janky. That means such a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I will be summarizing the entire live in form of a newsletter and we'll be sending it out on Friday or Saturday. Summarize if anyone wants to go through it again. And yes, this conversation was just not the end, it's just the beginning. We invite you to take time to feel safe within yourselves and slow down. And take what resonated with you, leave what did not, and come back to it when you're ready for it. Because every piece, every nugget, I'm sure it's going to be so helpful for you in every phase or stage of your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chloe.
you.
Thank you for
Loads
your
of love.
time. And yeah,
I'll see you soon. Have a good day, folks.
yes.